Today, I will answer a question: how would practicing the Lotus Sutra in Jessica Alba's story look like? And how can you practice the Lotus Sutra like her in your everyday life? Yes, Jessica Alba. You know her, right? But in order to understand what is going on here, we need to watch her interview about her company she started called Honest. And we will consider how her entrepreneurship uses the Buddhist Lotus Sutra chapter 16 idea of the eternal life of the Buddha. You may wonder, what? Jessica Alba and her practice of the Lotus Sutra? What are any connections between them? No wonder you wonder, but please stick around. The Jessica Alba story shows a mind-blowing insight of what it means to achieve a goal. So it should be very useful to all of us. So this is where we see a resonance with the Lotus Sutra chapter 16 idea. And here is what you will learn today in a nutshell. Instead of waiting for someone else to start a company that she desired, Jessica Alba chose to go DIY and create that company. This is her perspectival transformation. Her personal desire that she initially cared about is ultimately overcome by caring about everyone's desire and concerns. This Jessica Alba's omni-desire approach resonates with the Mahayana Bodhisattva vow that is exhibited in the Lotus Sutra. Once you embrace and put this approach into practice, every moment of process towards the goal becomes the fulfillment of your desire and goal. In other words, process turns out to be the goal. Process usually is the means towards the goal, right? But the goal and the means, goal and the process all converge. That means your goal is being achieved every single moment of your life. This is incredible, right? Because your present experience becomes a place where the goal, desire, and their fulfillment all at the same time converge in a single moment of your experience. That's what lies at the heart of the Lotus Sutra. With that note, here is a set of skills that this video offers you today. A skill you will attain is the Learning Buddhism from Celebrities method, which helps you, 1, understand how intimately the Lotus Sutra's idea of the Buddha's eternal life is related to our everyday life. 2, learn an example of practice in the Lotus Sutra's core idea from the Jessica Alba story. And 3, start considering your practice of the Lotus Sutra to cope with challenges in your everyday life. After watching this, please reflect on your current life and come up with your own action plan. If you're cool with that, give me a thumbs up, and here is a roadmap of our conversation for today. Number 1, introduction to learning Buddhism from celebrities method. Number 2, watching Jessica Alba's founding story of her honest company in the context of Buddhist teachings. Number 3, analyzing the Jessica Alba story in light of the Buddha's eternal life. In the first part, I will introduce a unique and practical method of how to learn Buddhism from celebrities method. There we will discuss the purpose and the method of learning Buddhism. Second is watching her interview. There I pick up a theme of desire and goal in her story, and we will put them into a conversation with the Buddhist thought. Third, we will consider the Jessica Alba story in terms of the Lotus Sutra chapter 16, the eternal life of the Buddha. Are you excited? So, let's start. Question: what is your purpose of learning Buddhism? My purpose is to practice Buddhist ideas so that I build a meaningful relationship with others and build a peaceful society. But how about the method of learning Buddhism? What is your method of learning Buddhism, and why do you choose that method over other methods? The learning Buddhism from celebrities method focuses on the story of a celebrity and considers it in light of the Buddhist teachings. Knowing the story of celebrities help us see that fame or money cannot be an ultimate solution to the various challenges we face in our everyday life, to be aware of this inescapability, the universal inescapability of suffering in a Buddhist sense, and how, like all of us, all of you, celebrities are also coping with it, are crucial aspects for our Buddhist practice. That's why we take up a story of a celebrity today. Finding Buddhist insight in their stories create a habit of seeing how Buddhist ideas and practices are embodied in many scenes of both their and our and your everyday life. Once you make it a habit, everything you encounter will be experienced as liberating. That's why today we will be using the learning Buddhism from celebrities method. Isn't that amazing? Let's move on. Jessica Alba is a model, actor, a mother, and the founder of an honest company. Let's watch her interview.
What made you think, let's start another business?
Really just out of necessity. A company like the Honest Company just didn't exist, and so we had to create it. We had to create a company that parents could rely on, that did all of the hard work. You don't have to be a scientist or a doctor, nor should you be expected to be. And you should have products that perform very well, but are affordable and easy to get, and why not make it cute?
What I found great about this interview is her perspectival transformation about her own desire and what it ultimately meant for her to achieve a goal. She says because a company like Honest didn't exist, so we had to create it. What kind of perspectival transformation is happening here? When people go out for search of something, if things are not found, they may give up. But she was different. She goes search, finds nothing, then chooses to create it by herself. This DIY method, right, is at the heart of the perspectival transformation, which is actually the greatest point of the Lotus Sutra, chapter 16. Instead of waiting for someone else to start the company that she wishes to be somewhere, she chose to create that company. The irresponsible notion of, well, somewhere, sometime it should be, always ends up being nowhere, right? So make that somewhere, this where, right now. That's the great turn from desiring something to creating that desired thing in the present. And you can do that too, so that you can cope with challenges you are undergoing in your life. But there's one more important trick to this perspectival transformation we should be mentioning. Becoming a giver. Why is that important? The change of her standpoint made her create a company, and that came with her being a giver to others. So her private desire is overcome by caring about not only her desire, but rather caring about everyone's desires and concerns. This is the Mahayana Bodhisattva vow to liberate all sentient beings, right? It's an harmony desire solution. Everyone has a desire to end their suffering, to have a happy life. So let's go with everyone's desire and fulfill that, respond to that, liberate them all. That's the Bodhisattva vow, which is a dynamic way of overcoming one's desire, which is chief mark of the Lotus Sutra as well. So I call this Jessica Bodhisatt-Alba's DIY approach to desire. It is DIY because she became a creator of a company. This method resonates with the Lotus Sutra chapter 16. But before we dive into the Lotus Sutra, let's do some groundwork together. That is, understanding a problem of suffering and desire in Buddhism. And then we put the Jessica Alba story back into a conversation with the Lotus Sutra, okay? So in Buddhism, suffering means our experience of gap between what is given and what is not given in the present. Because of being discontent with the given situation, You start an external search to find a way to become content. However, as long as you are caught up by this self-centered, desire-driven cycle of suffering, any moment of your life remains full of discontent. So what is the Buddhist suggestion? The suggestion is this: carefully inspect your desire. Under the guise of that desire, ask what it is that you really, really want. Once you have the clarity of your desire in the deepest level, change that desire, initial desire, rather than trying to change the reality you see as problem. The problem is rather in your desire itself, in your initial desire itself. Changing your desire is how you quickly and effectively transform both yourself and your reality at the same time. What is at the heart of this is the reorientation of desire. That's demonstrated in the DIY method, which means that you do not rely on others to take care of your needs. Rather, you step up and you go create something that fulfills your needs on your own. This starts by reorienting your desire towards the given present, rather than towards something external. The Jessica Alba's DIY solution to desire stops your external search and instead makes you focus on the present moment of yourself. The DIY method is a positive, life-affirming approach, and is applicable to various kinds of gap we encounter in our everyday life. And I have a story of using this method for solving my suffering as well. I recently had a problem in a household. My son revealed that he was having a hard time making friends at his school. He's 5 years old. I was really hurt by and suffered from the gap between the given situation of him feeling lonely at his school and not enjoying time there, and not given situation of him making friends and enjoying time at school. Right? There's a gap between them. Given situation is whatever is not given. I have a desire toward this external situation rather than the internal given situation. That's how I suffered from the gap between them. That's what is called suffering in Buddhism, right? But here's where things get interesting. As a practitioner of the Lotus Sutra, of course, I would do something different because I know the Lotus Sutra. So instead of waiting for the summer break to end and the schools restart, my wife and I started to organize a free soccer learning session for our son and his classmates. This has been a great success. I'm very grateful for the Lotus Sutra to inspire our action. And all the parents and kids really enjoy hanging out during the soccer session. And actually, it was already in the process of making and creating this kind of skillful means for our son, that our suffering was already overcome. My son was impressed that his parents are doing something for him to make friends in a creative way. He was happy with that already, and he, of course, immediately started to make some friends. But at that point, my wife and I were not so much concerned about that at all. We rather enjoyed hanging out with, parents who gathered together and seeing kids and our son interacting with them. So the process of making of all these was already sort of reaching the goal, right? But the initial goal was to have him make friends. But once the process starts, that was the series of the fulfillment of our goal. That's where the external and the internal goal and the present goal and the process, the purpose and the means converge in one single place of your present moment. That's the perspectival transformation towards the present given moment. That's what the Jessica Alba story exhibits for us here. Amazing, right? That's what the power of the Lotus Sutra is. With that note, let's move on to the final portion of our discussion. How is all of this shown in the Lotus Sutra in chapter 16? The idea of the Jessica Alba's perspectival transformation seems to appear in the Lotus Sutra chapter 16. If you need a quick overview of the chapter, please check out my video, What is the Eternal Life of the Buddha, that I put the link below. Well, in a nutshell, in chapter 16, Shakyamuni says that he will soon pass away. However, he also says that his death is not really his death, because in fact, he has been actually around since the beginningless past and will continue to be present in the endless future. This is the famous notion of the eternal life of the Buddha, the heart of the chapter and the heart of the entire Lotus Sutra. But the question is, why is this notion of the eternal life Buddha important in a larger Buddhist context? I think this is because it transforms the meaning of time, and that's very crucial for the purpose of the end of suffering. That's where the early Buddhism and the Lotus Sutra gets connected. So the Buddha's eternal life implies that all moments of past, present, and future converge in any single moment of our experience. If you see that all moments are with you, you would not seek anything outside your given experience of here and now, right? This is how the gap of time is overcome in the Lotus Sutra, and it shows a further step. Overcoming the gap reveals the joyful aspect of our given present moment. One prominent Buddhist community that embodies this great practice is Risha kosei-kai, in my opinion. They appreciate each moment of experience in their lives as a joyful encounter with the Buddha. In a moment of joy, you do not seek outside, because every moment becomes wanted. Every encounter becomes desired. What is wanted and desired becomes identical to the given situation which already you are undergoing of your everyday life. This is incredible, right? And it solves all of the life problems, because the suffering is the gap between what is given and what is not given. That's the power of the Lotus Sutra, and Risha kosei-kai really embodies that. It's amazing. So this is how your given present experience becomes where the goal, desire, and their fulfillment all at once converge in one place. That's what's going on in the notion of the time in the Lotus Sutra and the notion of the eternal life of the Buddha. That's the wondrous aspect of the Lotus Sutra. This is how the reorientation of desire towards the given present becomes a way of liberation for your everyday experience. This is Risha kosei-kai's practical and active approach to mindfulness, I guess. And that's actually the point of the eternal life of the Buddha. So eternal life of the Buddha in that sense is not just a philosophical idea, but this is very, very practical and useful, right? So the Lotus Sutra, I think, is meant to be practiced and serviceable to our everyday life and challenges we face. So when Jessica Alba was in search of a company that fulfills her needs, she was experiencing also the gap between what's given in the present and what is not given. So she couldn't find it. So she oriented her desire not towards the external search, but towards what was already given at that moment by starting her own company. She no longer relied on something outside, but as soon as she started to found her own company, given that she was overjoyed by her work, I imagine, it was the process of working and creating the company that responds to the needs of others itself that already fulfilled the meaning of her life in an even more satisfying way. In this picture, what was initially desired, which was seemingly only available in the future or something outside the present, turned out to be discovered in the process you create in the present. In this sense, the goal is achieved in every single second. Isn't this amazing? This is the Lotus Sutra's approach to active mindfulness. That's what the Jessica Alba story has been demonstrating here. Well, did we answer our original questions? Which were, how would practicing the Lotus Sutra look like in Jessica Alba's life? And how can you practice the Lotus Sutra like her in your life? What is your answer to these questions? What DIY Buddhist method to your challenges in your everyday life now that you will start today?